I've been looking at the computer science job market lately, and honestly, if you're spending your entire weekend just grinding LeetCode and sending out hundreds of applications into a void that just automatically rejects you, I think you might be fundamentally misunderstanding the shift that just happened in the industry. For the last 20 years or so, the entire premise of the software engineering career path was basically that you had to beg a massive corporation for permission to build software. But I think that bottleneck has pretty much been completely eradicated. Obviously, everyone is terrified right now because AI coding tools are actively wiping out entry-level roles and companies are running these hyper-lean teams. And yeah, that is absolutely devastating if your only goal is to just be a traditional corporate employee. But in my view, it's simultaneously the greatest opportunity we've ever had if you just understand how to pivot. To see the escape route, you kind of have to look at what it actually took to build a software company back in like 2019 versus what it takes today. Just a few years ago, if you had an idea for a SaaS product, the friction to build it was massive. You basically needed to raise a $2 million seed round just to hire a dedicated front-end engineer, a back-end guy, a DevOps specialist, manage your cloud stuff, and a designer. You essentially needed this bloated corporate infrastructure just to get a minimum viable product onto the internet. But those exact same AI tools that are currently wiping out the junior job market have completely democratized how code is produced. The cost of actually making software has essentially dropped to zero. You don't really need a massive team of specialists anymore because you have this infinite, untiring senior developer living inside your code editor. If you're a single, locked-in developer using AI multipliers, you can architect the database, write the backend logic, stitch together the front end, and deploy the whole system in a weekend. We are essentially watching the real-time death of the massive tech startup and the birth of the one-person tech unicorn. But to actually capitalize on this, I think you have to undergo this massive psychological shift and completely detach your ego from the traditional corporate roadmap. Because schools and boot camps have aggressively conditioned you to believe that the ultimate prize is getting that $120 base salary at a FAANG company, where you get a shiny badge and permission to fix minor bugs in some legacy codebase. They basically trained you to be a microscopic cog in a machine. And when you realize that the machine mathematically doesn't really need you anymore, you have to stop begging for a seat at their table and just start building your own. The developers who are going to make life-changing money in this next cycle aren't the ones maxing out their LeetCode stats for a Google interview. They're the ones treating themselves like a full-stack media and software company. You have to realize that just writing code isn't really a protective moat anymore. Syntax is pretty much a commodity now. If anyone can spin up a functional web app in 10 minutes using an LLM, the value of the software itself goes down and the value of distribution skyrockets. So the new barrier to entry isn't really technical, it's psychological and promotional to actually win in this market. You have to become a hybrid. You need the technical discipline to build the system, but you also need the marketing aggression to get eyeballs on it. You can't just be the quiet nerd hiding in the basement anymore. You have to build in public. Document your process on YouTube, farm engagement on Twitter, and organically grow an audience that actually trusts you. I honestly think the most overpowered combination in the modern economy is a developer who knows how to code and also knows how to sell. When you control the product and the distribution, you effectively step outside the matrix of the traditional job market entirely. And you don't even need 1 million users to replace a corporate salary. You literally just need 1,000 true fans paying you $10 a month for a highly niche microsauce that solves a very specific, painful problem. That is a $12K annual run rate right there. Except you keep all the equity. You have 0 meetings and nobody can ever lay you off in an automated 4 a.m. email. So the anxiety that everyone is feeling right now about the tech job market is totally justified, but I think it's just aimed in the wrong direction. You shouldn't really be terrified that companies aren't hiring juniors. You should be terrified of the opportunity cost of wasting your 20s trying to impress an HR algorithm when you could be using that exact same energy to build your own digital business. The tools to build have never been cheaper, the leverage has never been higher, and the friction to just ship something has completely evaporated. So honestly, my biggest advice is to just stop agonizing over your resume, close the job boards, open your IDE, and start building your own parallel wealth. The era of the comfortable corporate developer is pretty much over. But the golden age of the solo tech founder is just starting.